Today's Tuesday, March 28th, 2023, and in this video I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 58. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily, and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to God. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord? Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke? So very interesting, speaking of the fasting here, and this is very appropriate. Ramadan just started, and I find the whole Ramadan thing so hilarious, and I know that it's one of the teachings of Jesus Christ that just rings so true to me, and it's part of how I know that Jesus is the truth. And I do think that comparing religions is an important thing. People these days come at it from this angle of, there's hundreds of religions out there, how could you say that yours is right? Well, because that's the way that life works. There's hundreds of different options, and there's the right one. There's the correct one. There's only one truth. And yes, one of the religions is true, and all the other religions are false. That is the way that it works. You can't have 100 different religions that are all true simultaneously. That really is like the academic liberal approach that people take. Oh, everything's true. And that's, of course, nonsense. But anyways, one of the teachings of Jesus Christ that just rings so true with me, I know it's the truth, is the way that Jesus tells us to do these things in private. And if you're fasting, don't let people know that you're fasting. And the whole Ramadan thing, I think it's hilarious. Here's my criticism of Islam and Ramadan, is they love to exclaim to everybody about how much they're fasting, but they'll never tell you that basically every night they're breaking their fast with an enormous feast. I haven't looked into this to fact check it, but somebody made mention of, oh, did you know that actually the food sales during Ramadan are bigger than any time during the year because they're breaking their fast with giant feasts every night? I mean, I mostly eat one meal a day, just every day, because that's the way that my body works best, in my opinion, most of the time. I'm just not super hungry during the day if I'm having a relaxing day. And it's really not a huge amount of willpower to just not eat when the sun is up and then gorge yourself every night. Anyways, that's what this is just making me think of. And the way that Jesus came in and told us, no, you shouldn't be seen praying on the corners. Islam, again, they love to make grand displays of their prayers and make it seem like they're more holy than other people because they pray 3 times a day or whatever in a certain direction. Hey, this is a joke from Reno 911, but my God has anytime minutes. There's no specific time or place. God is always there with us. And yes, obedience is a part of it, but it becomes meaningless when it's this prescribed ritual and you're claiming to be holier than other people because you're following these things and displaying it to others. No, keep it to yourself. Jesus said, when you're fasting, wash your face, make sure you look good, have nice energy. Don't let people know that you're fasting. Okay. So I'm just seeing the spirit of that in this section. Verse 7. Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house, when thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh. Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thy health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Interesting. So is verse 7 saying, rather than making your grand displays of fasting and all that and thinking that you're doing it for me and for God, and and to, show how righteous you are, verse 8, is that the one? Or 9? Wait, no, 7 is saying, at least the way that I'm interpreting it, the whole fasting thing, it's not about to glorify yourself and how holy you are by not eating. You should be bringing the poor into your house and giving them the food. Like, you should be fasting because you're taking your food and giving it to poor people that don't have anything to eat. That's how I am interpreting that. And saying that would be much more righteous to do that. It makes me think of the way that the Hollywood celebrities and a lot of liberal people, they like to talk about how much they like to help people, apparently. But when have you heard of Hollywood celebrities opening their doors for homeless people to come in and feeding them in their houses? That's not the kind of thing that you ever hear of. And it reminds me of things about what tithing used to be, and people would leave parts of their crops up so people could just come and feed themselves. And anyways, verse 9, then shalt thou call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and speaking vanity, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry, and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. So verse 10 also is kind of mentioning that the satisfying the afflicted soul thing. So just a big takeaway that I'm getting here. We're to be servants, and that's a message that Jesus told us. If the fasting that you're doing is self-serving, then you're missing the mark, I believe, is part of the message here. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. There's just so much in the Old Testament, and especially Isaiah, about reclaiming the old cities, rebuilding things. Very interesting when you're interested in falsified history and living on the shoulders of giants and refurbishing buildings and knocking down old ones. And the Old Testament is full of that. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. Wow, so a lot here talking about the Sabbath. What a good topic, and something that I struggle with, keeping the Sabbath holy. How should we be keeping the Sabbath holy? It's such an important... The Sabbath is a gift that God gave us, and to me, it's very similar to circumcision, in my opinion. Not that I think that I fully understand circumcision, why it was all necessary and that, but it's an important ritual, the Sabbath day, and it's supposed to set God's people apart, I believe, and people are supposed to come up and say, wait, what? Why are you not doing anything? Like, What's going on here? Imagine being a stranger and walking into a city that properly observed the Sabbath. It would be strange and unusual. Wait, what's going on here today? Type thing. And I think it's an important thing for humans to do, and something that I struggle. It's hard these days because people just expect things of you. It's like I personally try to have Saturday be my Sabbath day, and I'm not saying that I do it correctly. I do too many of my own pleasures on Sabbath day because it's easy for us to think that way, right? Oh, it's a day of rest, so I'm going to do things that I like, that make me feel restful. And here these verses are saying that that's probably not what it's supposed to be like. It's supposed to be about God. And even here saying don't even speak your own words, kind of interesting. What should Sabbath days look like? Should be a lot of silence and speaking only the word, not even using our own words that day. Just if you feel like saying something, you can say certain scripture that comes to mind. I don't know. Well, you can leave a comment. What do you think about Sabbath? How do you make it doable to have a Sabbath? I think it's hard living in a family that like it would be hard to tell my wife, hey, we're not doing anything on Saturdays, because I don't want to do anything. And life goes on. You have children, they have, somebody's party is a Saturday. It's very difficult. And I think that you need a strong community to really have a good Sabbath, because you need understanding from many, many people. Hey, we're not doing stuff today, so don't even go there. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. God bless everyone.